zeros and ones to be the same proportion, 50-50 for oversampling, right? So let's do upsampling first. Upsample, there is a function called upsample in caret. So we set that seed, okay. So let's call it train dot up. Okay, so then we say upsample. Okay. Now we don't want the response here. Response will be separate. Okay, which is the last column, the column number 12, right? So we want to upsample based on, now we have to say all the rows, okay, except the last column. So you upsample based on all the rows and all columns except the last column, which is the response. Okay. So now you have to specify what response is. Okay. So then y is equal to, so the response, which is train3.df, train3.df response. Okay. But the upsample needs this as a factor, so we have to say as factor. Okay. And we're going to give a name for the y name is going to be, let's use the same name, response. Okay. Now what this is going to do is, just watch here, we have train 3 has 3,675 observations, okay, with these as the proportions. Okay. Once we run this train up, okay, and we'll print these two rows, these two codes as well. So we will have train dot up train 3. Is that it? Okay, so here, okay, I have an F there. Okay, see now, you see what happened, train 3 has 3,675 observations. Now, 3507 were zeros and 168 were ones. Then these ones were replicated, okay, at random, selected rows and made more rows out of it. So now we have 50-50. So we end up with 7,000 and odd observations. So this is upsampling. You bring everything, you bring ones to the same level as zeros. And then you run, of course, you run the train, validate is still not oversampled. So that's okay. So now you can run models with this, and then apply the model to the validate set. Okay. Now downsample. Okay, so that's downsample function. It does the other way around. Okay, again, still we end up with 50-50. Okay. So set dot seed 1, so we'll call it train dot down. Okay, so now this is downsample. So train 3 dot df, okay, and again we want all the, we have to specify the x values first. The x vector is all rows and all columns except the last column. Okay. And then y is as factor train 3 dot response, and then we'll give a name, y name equal to response. And do the same thing here. We'll find the statistics, okay, proportion and numbers for the downsample. Okay. So now what happened was, originally we had 168 ones, right? So from that 3507, the downsample got rid of, at random, got rid of sufficient number of rows, so you end up with exactly the same number of zeros and ones. Okay. All right. Now the problem with this approach in CARET is that it is simply duplicating some of the existing rows. It's just making more copies of it or getting rid of some of the rows. But that's not really, there are better ways of doing this. So there are a couple of libraries that does that. So there is ROSE. There is a library called ROSE, and that looks at the rows and then makes some adjustments, so the rows are not exactly duplicated, but additional similar rows. This is what's called synthetic data. So different values but very close are created. So those, when you want to oversample, this is the whole idea of oversampling, and you need to use one of those more specialized methods of oversampling for better results.